Hey guys, what's up? Welcome. This is Headbanging Through It. I'm Jamie. Welcome to the show, a podcast where we talk about heavy metal and mental health and headbanging through the bullshit. And I just want to start up by saying thank you to everyone that's continued to support me in this journey of talking about my diagnosis and the shit that I go through and and all the mental health stuff that goes with that. It has been, what's the word? It's been really interesting to have feedback from people around it and what that looks like. And so many people reaching out saying like, I get you. You're not alone. Thank you to everyone that's done that so far. I appreciate all the support and the love. I've had a lot of people saying that they're also struggling. Winter is hard. It's hard for a lot of us for a lot of different reasons. There's a lack of sunshine and it's just they're rough months to get through. And that's kind of motivating me to continue to talk about it. And talking about it is really helping me with some of my yearly winter struggles. So that's also great. I'm just going to keep rolling with it. I'm just going to keep throwing topics out there and having conversations around these mental health struggles that I personally deal with. And if they relate to you, awesome. If you guys want to chat with me about it, like, or you have a topic you want to throw at me, let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, anything around post-traumatic stress disorder, anyone working in the emergency services side of things, especially dispatchers, 911 dispatchers. That's my background. If you guys want to come talk about what you've been through, I would love to have a chat with you. Anyone that wants to come on and talk about heavy metal and how that helps them through their everyday life with their mental health, please. I would love to have conversations with you. Yeah, and so I'm just gonna keep like rolling with it and see how things go. I post a lot on my social media about my just like going to the gym every day and my fitness and my physical health because that is one of the number one things that helps me through each one of my days. And I've had people reach out to me and comment and say like, "Oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I was brave enough to do that. I wish I was strong enough to do that. I wish, I could get myself to do that." And so I kind of want to have a conversation around that, around gyms and fitness and how it's helped me, my journey through that, what that looks like for me in my life. And yeah, and talk about, the comments that I'm getting from people saying, "I wish I could do that." Yeah, what's stopping you? I would like to have conversations around that, because there's so much fear for some people around going to the gym and physical fitness and like being in public gyms and worrying about like body image and, am I doing enough? Am I doing it right? And that like insecurity of just being in a gym environment. And I would like to have a conversation about that and talk about the fear surrounding that and why people avoid it because they don't think they can do it, or it's like too hard for them, or whatever that looks like for you, or for those people that are, don't think that they can do it, because I think that you can do it. Shit's hard, you guys. Shit is hard. And walking into a gym for the first time is hard. It was not easy for me either. I do have a background in sports. Like I've always really kind of enjoyed sports. As a kid, I played softball. In high school, I played volleyball. I did track and field. I'm an outdoorsy person. I like to hike. I like to camp. I like to swim. I like to get on my bike. And so being like physically moving, I've always really enjoyed that. Have I been completely dedicated in a fitness regime throughout my life? No, I haven't. I've been in and out of gyms kind of here and there throughout my lifetime. There was a gym in the office I worked at for a long time, so I would dabble. I would go in sometimes and do some things, and public gyms were never really my thing. I didn't like being in environments with too many people in the gym, right? Because we have that like you get that sort of insecurity about like being in that environment. It doesn't always feel like the safest space. And if you're not used to being there, then you're worried about lots of things. Like, how do I use this piece of equipment I've never used before in my life? Am I doing this right? Is someone watching me? Do I have enough weight on here? Like, so many things, so many things. And I get all of that. I've been through all of that. And I really don't know how you overcome that other than to just go do it. I don't have the answer. I look back and I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? I don't know, but somehow I did. I'm thankful that I did, because now it is a very regular, a very important part of my life. And I would say that the thing that is, besides heavy metal, the most helpful part of my life for my mental health. The days that I don't go to the gym are hard on me. Moving my body and having that, like, it's like the one part of the day for me personally in my life where I can shut off everything else going on around me, and it's just like quiet. It's the only time of the day besides when I'm sleeping where my mind is just totally quiet, and it's just me and my body moving, and that's it. I put my earbuds in, I put my head down, I do my workout, and I just feel like nothing else exists. And it's the one time of day where I am relaxed. I feel like I can relax. But it's taken me a really long time to get there. It was not an easy journey for me. And yeah, I mean, I have my best friend and my sister to thank for that. I'm really lucky that I have those support systems in my life, and I have had those support systems in my life. A lot of people don't have those. And so to like have to reach in deeply inside yourself and try and drag yourself to that environment, is it's tough. I didn't want to do it. I was in the process of leaving my job. I was just at home on the floor, basically. Yeah, I was just crying pretty much every day. My daughter was probably four-ish at the time, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I was really in a dark place. And my best friend and my sister, they bought me this intro class to, I think it was like a strength and conditioning gym. So similar to CrossFit, but not quite CrossFit. And they had been going for a while, and they kept talking about it to me, and they're like, you should try this, you should try this. And I was like, no. Most of the time when people suggest things to me, I'm a hard no. My answer is always like my initial response is always, fuck no, I'm not doing that. Don't tell me what to do. I'll figure out my own life. And I'm still like that. I don't like to be told what to do in general. I've always been that way. I've had people say, well, all women are like that. Maybe you feel that way. I've never thought that it's because of my gender. I think there are also lots of men in the world that don't like to be told what to do. I'm a very strong-minded person. I'm a very independent person. That's the way I was raised. If you want me to do one thing, I'm going to do the opposite. I have a rebellious, a very naturally rebellious soul. And I also just like to prove to myself that I can do things on my own in my own way. And maybe that is part of being female. We live in a very male dominated society where women, we're really not seen in the same way as men in the same light, which is a topic for another day. But for me, I feel like I've always been that way from a very young age. And so when people suggest things to me or say, like, you need this, or you should try this, or you should do this, like, should, need, those words really like upset me in ways that I don't even really know how to describe. Something goes on in my body that rejects those words. And I'm just like, no, 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 no. And that's something I'm working on. I also feel like it's just a part of my personality. I do like to figure out things on my own in my own way. I am also open to help and suggestions, and like, things. I know that people are offering me those ideas because they love me and they want to help me. And so I'm always like a hard no, and then I take the information and I step away from it, and then I review it and I process it, and then I will go through and choose to either explore it or not, depending on what it is and how I feel about it and and the information I've found out about it. Um, yeah. So anyways, that was a side ramble. But so I was given these intro classes into the strength and conditioning gym, and I did not want to go. I was really upset that they gave me this gift certificate, because I was like, you guys can't just like throw me into some crazy environment that I'm not comfortable going into and make me lift weights that I don't want to lift. Like, how is this going to be helpful for me? I already feel weak as shit. I already feel like I'm falling apart and my world is just crashing down around me. And now you want me to go into some Hulk gym and lift a bunch of weights with a bunch of strangers, and you think that is going to make me feel better? I was like, you guys are fucked. Like, this is a terrible idea. And I know that they've been going for a while and they're like, well, it's mostly just women in these classes and it's really chill. I'm like, I feel like your guys' definition of what's chill is not the same as mine. Anyways, there was like lots of conversations and just me saying like, fuck off with this. I don't want to do it. And then crawling back inside of myself and just like, bleh, like I can't cope with myself and this and all these things. And I finally was just like, fuck, like they signed me up. My name's on the list. I've got to go. And it was awful. I mean, fuck. I was just like so embarrassed about the state of my existence. In so many ways, like not just because of my job and my mental state and what I was going through. I just didn't want to be outside of my home, right? And then when your emotional strength, like I was in such a dark place and so sad. And when you're feeling all of those things and you have to put those aside to try and clear your head to do something else, it just felt like so much. And like even tying my shoes was hard going in the classes. I didn't know how to present myself or speak to people. And like I felt like everyone that looked at me could see like how scared I was and how like just distraught I was inside, right? I wasn't doing a very good job of hiding what I was going through. In general, as a human, I'm not very good at hiding my emotions. And I was also really worried I was just going to have a fucking breakdown in the middle of one of these intro classes, right? And I did have a couple. I definitely cried. I I went home. I can't remember how long the classes were. I think they were 6 weeks. Um, and maybe a couple days a week. I'm not sure. And every time I left, I sat in my truck and I fucking sobbed. I was just like, I can't do this. This is horrible. I don't want to go back. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. Like all of those things. I did not want to do it. But also there was this piece of me that's like, they paid all this money for me to do this, and I need to at least finish it for them because otherwise it was just a waste of money. There was no part of me that thought about like them getting their money back. I don't know why I didn't do that. I should have just done that. But at the end of it, like I look back and I'm so fucking grateful. I'm so fucking grateful for them and for like pushing me in to do that, even though I did not want to do it at all. um the intro classes were really hard and I really, really struggled. There was so many pieces of that were so confusing to me, moving my body in ways that I'm not used to doing, like learning how to do a power clean. That's fucking impossible for people that know how to do it to start somewhere, right? Like, what is that movement? And my brain couldn't process it, but at least I was in an intro class with a bunch of other people whose brains also couldn't process it, so I didn't feel like such an ass. If I just walked into a class, I would have been so overwhelmed I would have just left. There's no way I would have stayed. But it was great. It's not something that I would have done on my own. After that, because I went to these classes, I met a couple of people and I made some connections, and then we started regular classes when the intros ended. And yeah, I just slowly over time became better. Just like anything that you start that you've never done before, right? That you're new at, the more that you do it, the more that you practice, the better you become, until like you don't have to think about it anymore and it switches off. And then it's just like it's this automatic process. You just grab it and you go. You know what you're doing and you know the movements and you know how all of the things that come with anything that you learn in life, really, like learning how to fucking swim or ride your bike. Like once you know, you know. And then you're not in your head about like how you're doing it all the time. Once I got to that point, it just changed everything. And I really did enjoy that aspect and like the group classes and like the camaraderie that came with that for a really long time. I think I stayed in that gym for close to, it was probably 6 years before it shut down. I would say like to the end of that, I was getting tired of it. There was aspects of that that were not really great for my mental health. I did love the people. The people were fucking amazing. And so supportive and so kind. And we just like became a family, right? And that was so good for me in the middle of what I was going through. And then it shifted into almost like my brain feeling like I needed to do more and push more, and be stronger and go further, trying to feel like I need to keep up with the people around me or run faster or like lift heavier weights and like, do my fucking one rep max, my PR, all of those pieces of it started to become really unhealthy for me in ways where I was pushing myself and my body to a point that was beyond necessary. And my body just started to reject it. I started to feel pain in my body in places in my joints, and like old injuries were flaring up and things that I realized were not good for my physical health. And that's just for me personally. I have a lot of friends that still participated in it and they fucking love it. Everyone has their own thing and their own path and their own journey. So, anyways, the gym that I was in ended up closing, and so I shifted out of it. But those years were fantastic. I'm actually kind of glad that it shut down because then it was just like easier for me to move on to something else. Those years helped me heal in a lot of really important ways. My coach from that gym is still one of my most fucking favorite people. She's an amazing human. And as someone that like if you don't understand post-traumatic stress disorder, it's just such a bizarre fucking thing to explain to people. And I wasn't fully sure of what was going on in my body yet. I was still learning about it, and I was deep into like the early stages and years of my counseling at that time. And I had so much fear in my body around pretty much everything in life. I was scared to leave my house, right? Like I went into the shell and I did not want to leave it. The only place I felt completely 100% safe was in my home. And eventually the gym became a safe space for me. And my coach was always very supportive and encouraging and just like open minded about what I was going through, right? Like not judgmental if I was like fucking crying in the gym one day. And I had a lot of strange things happen to me after my diagnosis, things that were slowly building up over the course of years that I wasn't really aware were happening. I suddenly became like super afraid to get on an airplane. Never in my life I've been afraid to fly. I've always been a very confident, secure flyer. I traveled a lot in my 20s. And then I also developed like this really strange fear of being in the water. And I'm laughing because that's just, you guys will learn that's just how I cope with everything that is like weird and dark and scary in my life. I make weird jokes. I have a dark sense of humor because I grew up in a home with two police officer parents. We had a lot of cynicism and sarcasm, and dark humor is just like how I was raised. And so I will laugh at my own darkness and I will make jokes, that might not be funny to other people, but are super funny to me. And that's just how I cope. That's my coping mechanism. And again, everyone has their own thing. So, but yeah, I developed this strange fear of water. And I'm a Pisces. I fucking love the water. I love to swim. I can stay in the water all day and I could still go in the water, but I had this strange fear suddenly of like having my head underneath the water. I just remember every time I put my head underneath the water, I had this sensation of not being able to find my way out of it. It was so dark. And then I was so scared I wasn't going to be able to get air again. And I always felt like I was just gonna fucking suffocate and drown. And which is totally fucked. It's such a weird thing when your nervous system just completely takes over your body and you don't understand what's happening. And it's taken me years and years and years to work on undoing some of that stuff. And I'm definitely far from where I want to be. And will I get to where I want to be one day? I fucking hope so. There's always hope. Anyway, we were doing this workout of the day. We were doing a WOD, and every summer we would do one on the beach. So the gym wasn't very far from the beach, and we would do this like big group workout and always like do part of it down on the beach. And I remember we were supposed to jump off the dock and then go for a swim, and then, swim however many 100 meters that way, and then swim to the shore, do this, whatever it was. And I was fucking terrified to jump off the dock. I was so scared to jump. And I knew we were going to do it. And we were all getting all our shit organized. We were walking down there, and I was fucking panicking. Chest pain all across my chest, just like sweating. I was so nervous, and I didn't think I was going to do it. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to be able to do this. I don't know how I'm going to get in the water. I don't know how I'm going to go for this swim. I don't know how I'm going to complete this. I think I'd been there for almost a year at that point. And I had told my coach before that, like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can put my head in the water. I'm so fucking scared. And I tried to explain what was going on. Like, and she, even though she didn't understand probably what I was talking about at all, she was super supportive. She was like, you got this, just go out there and see what happens, kind of thing. And so I walked down. I remember like going down with everybody and walking down to the dock, and then she was about to like say go. My heart was just pounding. I couldn't feel my hands. I remember just like thinking, I need to leave. I should just leave. I shouldn't be here. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. But my coach was standing right beside me, and I knew that as long as she was standing there, she was not going to let me leave. Um, and I just froze. I just stood there and I fucking froze. And when she said go, everyone jumped right away. Everyone fucking jumped. And I just stood there. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going in this water. That's all I remember is just like, I'm gonna die if I go in this water. Like it will take me down to the bottom and hold me there until I fucking drown. That's how I felt. I was so sure about it. And my coach turns and she looks at me and she's like, I don't even remember what she said. She was just like, you ready? You got this, or something. Like, it was just really quick and really simple words that she said to me, but she made eye contact with me, and the way that she looked at me and the way that she smiled at me, she just like, I don't know, it was something switched in my brain that was like, she believes in me, like she knows I can do this. She says I got this, and I believed her. Which sounds really silly, but in that moment, it was, I don't know, it was just like what I needed to jump, I guess. And I just dove in. I remember my entire body screaming that I wasn't going to make it. And like opening my eyes and only seeing black and thinking that I was never going to find my way up to the surface. That really fucking scared me. But I did. I did find my way up to the surface, and my head popped up, and I took a big breath of air. And I remember like looking back, and my coach was standing on the dock, and she was just watching me. And she was just like, you know, go. And I went, and I was like, oh my God, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm breathing. I'm alive. So I just fucking swam. Yeah. That was a really powerful moment for me. I remember I wrote a blog about it later, because it was just like one of the scariest moments in, like, before I think it was before I was diagnosed. I was just in this really fucking horrible place in my mind and my body and my life. And it was, I think, just a turning point for me, where I felt like maybe I could do hard things, even though I didn't feel like I could really do anything. I actually didn't feel like I could even do easy things, let alone hard things, right? But it was a victory for me. And it was a huge victory for me, emotionally, mentally. It was just a fucking win. And after that, I think I just felt so connected to my environment, the gym, and the encouragement and support that I had in that space, that I just kept going with it, right? And I have not looked back. Whatever happened to me in that gym, in that space with those people, connected me back into myself with the physical needs that I have for my body, and knowing that movement helps me with my mental clarity has become just part of my everyday routine, I guess you would call it, right? Like I used to not be able to, I would wake up in the morning and be like, I'm not fucking going. I'm not going. I'm too tired. I'm too this, I'm too that. Like every excuse in the book, it's really easy to make an excuse to not do something. And it's really hard to do it anyway. Tell yourself, fuck all that shit. Do it anyway. The excuses just fly, right? Like, I don't have time. It's too late. I'm hungry. Whatever. Like, it's so easy to make excuses to not do something. It really, really is. And if you shut that part of your brain off, which is hard to do, it is really fucking hard to do. But if you can just like say to yourself, like, stop, stop, don't make excuses and just go. Right. And so I had to like really, really, really dig into teaching myself to just stop saying no to everything and start saying yes to this. And I think it took me years. Like there were still days that I just was like, I'm not going. And I wouldn't go 1 or 2 days and then I would feel like shit. And then I would drag myself back. Thank God I didn't quit. I'm really glad that I did not quit. And I know I thought about it 1,000 times and I was really fucking close to doing it very, very many times. But once I switched that off in my head and just went anyway, then I stopped making excuses. There's just no excuse at all in my life anymore for missing a day. And of course, like if my kids have fucking appointments and I'm out of town, those things come up, right? Like, but for me, it is an essential part of my daily routine. And one of the things that keeps me sane and healthy and happy enough to like cope with my kids and get through my life and like keep some of my mental health things not so amplified. I mean, I talk to my best friend about it all the time, like that it's now become my therapy, right? Like I have done so many years of counseling and I've reached a point in my life where I just need a break from it, right? And maybe there's more work for me to do. And I think at some point we have to have responsibility for ourselves. All this counseling has taught me a lot of coping skills and mechanisms to get through my day and like help regulate my nervous system. And after a while you're just beating a dead horse. I've heard this, I've done this, I've said this, and we've been through this, and it's just the same thing. I feel like it's just the same things over and over and over and over. I'm tired of talking about those things all the time. And so now I just run it out, or I just like lift a weight and like sweat it out, and that feels really good. And it helps me get rid of some of the stuff that I have that's still like sticking to me, I guess. And it's non-negotiable for me in my life now. I have to do it. I want to do it. It helps me. And without it, I am not as great as I could be. To anyone that's out there wondering if they can do it, you can. It's fucking hard. It's really hard. And there are going to be bad moments and there's going to be crying, maybe, depending on who you are. And you're going to want to quit, possibly. And I think that all of those things are okay. I think that all of those things are just part of the process of learning how to do anything new that is uncomfortable or scary. It feels like, maybe you're not going to be able to be good enough at it. But I can tell you one thing that I've learned over the course of the years being in these gyms, in these places, is that for the most part, the people that are there, they're there for the same reasons that you are. And that is to like maintain their physical health in a positive way, right? But I think for the most part, like people really aren't paying attention to you. And most of it is self-generated. Like we get in our heads about whether we're doing enough or whether we're doing it right and whether this or that. At the end of the day, like the only person that it really matters to is you, right? Like you can shut that part of your brain off, just quiet it, say, hey, stop, and hone in and focus on what you're doing, or go with a friend and have somebody show you the ropes, right? Like that's also an option if you have someone you can go with, or if you can hire a coach for a day at some of these public gyms. Like they're really helpful and they're like really good at what they do just to get your foot in the door to help you feel a little bit of, less stress about it or whatever. It is 100% worth it all the time, I think. For that has been my experience, even though my journey into it was really devastatingly fucking hard. And there was lots of crying and yelling and swearing and um, all of those things. And if I hadn't had that come into my life, I don't know if I would be doing as well as I am now. It's a huge piece of how I cope with my days and how I go cope with my anxiety. And it gives me a little bit of internal strength and physical strength to feel like I'm going to get through this. So if there's anyone out there that is, waffling with it, fuck, I say do it. It's easier said than done. I do believe that's true. However, it is so worth it. And I think that the biggest obstacle in these moments with trying to get yourself to go do something like that is ourselves. It's us, right? Like we are stopping ourselves from doing it. And I get it. I get that. I've been there. I fucking get it. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that if you take a chance on yourself, it's going to be worth it. And I say go for it. And I hope that these words maybe help you get there if that's what you need. Take your favorite music, put in your fucking headphones, go get it done, and see how you feel after. Yeah, that was a way longer conversation on fitness than I thought it was going to be. That's it for today. I hope you guys have a fucking awesome rest of your day, and let's headbang through some more shit soon. Peace.